Solar, the most abundant source of energy on Earth, but still struggling to receive mass adoption from humans because it's unstable. No sun means no electricity, and no electricity means goodbye industrial revenue, goodbye modern society, and goodbye Tesla. But today, I have a friend all the way from Malaysia who's going to share to us an awesome solar panel technology that's going to save us billions of dollars while generating those sweet electricity, with or without the sun. Show us what you got, Ben.
Hey friends, I'm Benjamin Ong from Malaysia, the Southeast Asia region, and just like Elon said, solar panels, no sun means no electricity. But what if I told you that there's a new developing technology that's called the anti-solar panels that can solve this billion-dollar problem? If you're wondering what is an anti-solar panel, relax. In this short and lovely presentation, you'll learn exactly that and how we can generate electricity using the panels with and without the sun. Maybe it'll help you to save millions of dollars. Maybe you're interested to do research even further, or maybe you're just a student. You may use this as your project. So stay till the end. There are 5 sections in this presentation to give you a concise idea about both the solar and the anti-solar panels. At the 4th section, I'll introduce to you something special. It's a hybrid system that's newly researched. And last but not least, I'll give you an executive summary to log what you have learned today in your brain. So let's begin. First of all, let me provide you a broad overview of where solar is positioned right now in the world in terms of its energy generation and contribution. But before that, here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that in every hour, there's more solar energy that reaches Earth than a human civilization is able to consume for a whole year? It's just that we can't harvest it at 100% efficiency yet. But, if solar is so abundant, it must be contributing a lot to the world's energy generation, right? Right? Game time. I'll give you 3 seconds to guess how many percent is solar contributing to the world's energy generation as of now. And if you guess it wrong, you're rewarded to watch the video until the end. Alright? 3, 2, 1. Let's find out. This chart represents the total world's energy generation of 2019. And as you can see, a whopping 80% of energy are coming from fossil fuels, whereas only less than 2.9% are coming from solar and the other renewables. The least abundant source, the fossil fuel, are contributing the most to the world. It doesn't feel sustainable, right? How long can we continue this? It's only a matter of time before we run out of them, and therefore there's a need to change. And that's where solar and the anti-solar panel technology steps right in. However, part of the reason why solar isn't widely adopted yet is because of its huge initial capital upfront of investment required, and it's a little bit unstable sometimes. But it eventually pays out while saving the Mother Earth. So, why not? Well, how long does it take for a normal household to make their returns from the solar PV system? According to LG, the payback period is about 5 to 8 years. But of course, it still depends on several variables like the amount of sunshine exposure, the efficiency, the cost of electricity in the country, and etc. But the typical US resident needs only 5 to 8 years of payback period, assuming typical conditions and costs. How did we came to this payback period? Well, just divide the total cost by the annual returns from the solar PV system. The Energy Sage has well illustrated and made their calculations, which includes incentive from your local government too. Use their calculator if you are interested to find out. Then, to put things into perspective, the lifespan of solar panel system is about 25 years according to LG, and that means you have nearly 20 years of free clean energy. Come on, that's a great incentive while progressing towards a sustainable world. Now that we have established that solar energy is the most abundant source of energy and will play a game-changing role in accelerating our society to be a clean, sustainable society, let us go back to the fundamentals. How to capture solar energies? Well, we currently have 3 main ways to do so. First is through photovoltaic cells for electricity generation, thermal panels for heating purposes, and collecting the solar heat to drive wind turbines to produce electricity. But today we are merely focusing on the photovoltaic cells, in short, the PV cells. A PV cell is a device that can convert energies from light into electricity through a phenomenon we call the photovoltaic effect. Now let me illustrate to you how it typically works. A PV cell, when combined together, it becomes a module, and when a module is grouped together, it becomes an array of solar panels that's ready to capture those solar energies. The solar PV array generates electricity, and through a series of electrical processes is being provided to the national grid for your personal use or being stored inside batteries. But you might be asking, how does a piece of plain board generate electricity, right? Well, the key lies within the material of the board. First of all, energies from sunlight are absorbed by the photovoltaic cells, and this raises the electron within the panel's material to a high energy state. And at this high energy state, the electrons will release its excessive energy in the form of electricity to the external circuits. And after it's done, it will be brought back to normal state again, and the cycle continues. Imagine it just like a spring. When it's compressed and released, the spring will bounce off with the potential energy stored inside of it and return back to the normal state. Keep doing that and we'll produce more electricity, and that's how solar cells are able to generate electricity. But there's a catch. For solar PV cells, it only works during the day, or more specifically, only with the presence of the sun. If so, how about during the night? How could we survive without electricity? Therefore, it's... But no worries, like I said, we have a developing technology that can solve this problem. Introducing the radiative cooling cells, or the thermoradiative cells, also known as the anti-solar cells, allowing us to generate electricity without the presence of the sun. These radiative cooling cells are the polar opposite of those PV solar cells. The PV cells absorb light to generate electricity, whereas the radiative cooling or the anti-solar cells releases infrared lights to generate electricity using the thermoradiative or the Seebeck effect. Now comes the question again. How does a piece of plain board releases light? First, we must acknowledge that the space is an extremely cold and empty place. It's much colder than the attitude of my ex-girlfriend. According to the data from the Cosmic Background Explorer satellite CBOE, the temperature of space is 2.75 Kelvin or negative 270.4 degrees Celsius. And because the space is so much colder, when you have an object on Earth at a normal temperature, it's still so much warmer than the space. This causes the radiative cooling process to happen, and it's a process which a body loses heat by thermal radiation, and it releases heat in the form of infrared lights for the anti-solar panels. And within the anti-solar panels, there are thermoelectric generators that uses this phenomenon to generate electricity. The thermoelectric generator in the cell uses this thermal difference to generate electricity, and the phenomenon is known as Seebeck effect, which is an effect that directly converts the thermal difference into electrical voltage through a thermocouple. In this case, it's the thermoelectric generator. If you're wondering how Seebeck effect works, within the thermoelectric generator, there are wires of alloy metals coupled together, and they are known as the thermocouples. Within these alloys, there are electrons present in it, and when there's temperature difference, one side is warmer than the other side. The electrons at the warmer side have a higher energy levels, and they move relatively faster than the colder side. This causes them to squeeze towards the colder side, thus causing unbalanced electron distribution, which leads to voltage difference to produce electricity. I know, all these technical terms, just by listening to it, it's pretty hard to imagine. So let me use this made-up story from SpongeBob as an analogy to make it fun and clear. Now try to imagine Krusty Krab as the warmer side, the charm bucket as the colder side, and the customers as the electrons. If SpongeBob, the main chef of Krusty Krab, gets COVID-19, and the news would spread like wildfire in Bikini Bottom, this news would drive customers away from their favorite restaurant and turn towards their competitor, Charm Bucket. And due to this uneven distribution of customers, the Charm Bucket is finally making profits after so many years of trying to steal the secret ingredient from the Krusty Krab. Same applies to electrons. Uneven distribution of electron due to thermal difference is going to produce electricity. Simple as that. Interestingly, the energy generation is found to be a quarter of what a normal PV cell is capable to produce according to this research by Jeremy Monday, a researcher and a professor from the University of California. It is still in its early stage of development, so it's expected to improve over time. If you're interested to study further on this research paper, check it out. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how we are able to generate electricity during the day and during the night. One is working at the day shift and another is working at the night shift, or more specifically, without the presence of the sun. One has higher efficiency compared to the other. Why is it so? Well, comparing solar to anti-solar is like comparing a senior engineer who have worked in the industry for 30 years compared to another fresh graduate who have just finished his internship of 3 months. Just like that guy. Oh wait, that's me? You see, for photovoltaic effect, it was first studied back in 1839, but the first solar PV cell was only created in the April of 1954 by Bell Labs. At the time, it has only achieved 6% of efficiency, but right now, most solar cells have already achieved 15 to 20% of efficiency after 50 years of innovation. Then let's look at the anti-solar cells. Even though the working principle of the anti-solar cells, the SEAR effect, was founded in 1821, but the real application of this effect on the solar energy industry is relatively new. The research paper that I found was dated back in 2018 to 2019, so you can expect it to improve over time for the efficiency.
Sorry Ben, please excuse for a moment. One of the investors from the audience wanted to give us a call. Hello, Miss Katie. How can we help?
Hey Elon, I got an idea for Tesla. Is it possible for us to combine both the anti-solar and the solar panels together so that we can create a 24-hour working system?
Is that possible, Ben?
Yes, that's entirely possible. In fact, a group of researchers from the University of Science and Technology of China have conducted the experiment and prototype to find out the feasibility of the idea of a hybrid between PV cells and the radiative cooling cells. They call it the PVRC panels. Here's what they did. They combined the PV cells and the radiative cooling cells into a single panel. Simple as that. Just like this. They manufactured it by laminating 32 solar cells of monocrystalline silicon on a polished aluminium plate, while the top layer of the panel is made of transparent Tedlar polyester Tedlar TBT layer, which acts as the encapsulation of the material and is mainly responsible for the nighttime radiative cooling processes. Surprise! It's a 90% increase of efficiency as compared to a single solar PV cell of monocrystalline silicon, proving not only it works, it's much more efficient than the traditional solar cells. Okay, now thank you so much for listening to my jokes and listening to these knowledges. I'll give you an executive summary of what we have learned today. So a quick summary. First, we learned that photovoltaic PV solar cells are used during the day and it generates electricity using the photovoltaic effect. Second of all, the anti-solar cells or the radiative cooling cells are used during the night or without the presence of the sun, but only 25% of efficiency as compared to the PV cells because they are quite new. Finally, there's already researchers on a hybrid prototype which works 24/7, utilizing both the PV and the RC mechanisms to generate electricity, and the overall efficiency increases by 90% as compared to the traditional solar PV cells. So ladies and gentlemen, we are racing against the depletion of fossil fuels, and solar technology will definitely play a huge role in our transition into a green, sustainable and clean energy society. I hope after this presentation, you'll be well aware of the mechanisms of solar and the potential coming from the anti-solar panels, but most importantly, I hope this inspires your passion in renewables and energy efficiency field for the good of mankind. Before we end, I'd like you to give a thought of my friend Elon Musk's quote. If it's not renewable, it's going to run out at some point, and we will have the choice of a collapse of our civilization and into the dark ages we go, or we find something renewable. Elon Musk 2020. Thanks for listening. I hope you find it helpful, and if you are interested to learn further, check this research paper out for more info. With that said, I'll see you at the Global's finals. Goodbye.